Hi everybody, welcome back to Small Caliber Arms Review. I'm Richard, and today we're going to look at one of Granddad's old guns. It wasn't my granddad, but this is a loaner. This is a Winchester Model 74. It's a 22 long rifle, semi-automatic. This one was made in 1950, so it's been around for a while. It could have been somebody's granddad's old rifle. It does have a fixed 4-power Weaver scope on it. It kind of mounts on the side of the receiver right there with a special mount. You got to have the right mount for this thing. It does have open sights on it, but with the scope on there, they're pretty much useless. I think this one's got a 24-inch barrel on it. Nice, I believe it's a walnut stock. This one is in really good shape. The wood is in good shape. The bluing on it is in good shape. I have taken it completely apart and cleaned this thing up, and it was really dirty on the inside. The outside's beautiful, the inside was a different story. Now the inside's beautiful. It's got a pretty neat loading mechanism on it. It is a tube fed, but the tube is in the buttstock right here. You just twist that, pull your tube back. You don't have to pull it all the way out. You actually load your rounds to the hole in the side of the stock right there. It holds 14 rounds of 22 long rifle, feeds them up in there. Your ejection port's right there. Your charging handle's on the back here. And it's actually a pretty easy gun to take apart and clean. Let me show you that real quick. All right, to clean this one, it is not very difficult, especially when you compare it to some of the older rifles, because this one is got a little pin right here to pull the bolt and everything right out of the back of it. And one of the things you do have to do is you have to release the tension on the firing pin, and you shouldn't dry fire. So the best thing to do is to put a snap cap in there. And I've got my little plastic one here. It does not have a bolt hold open on it. So what you got to do is get that opened up. We'll put that snap cap in there. Go ahead and let it go. And we pulled it out there. We released the tension on the firing pin. Now you can take this little button right here and push it all the way in, and your bolt will pop out just a little bit. Then you can grab that bolt and your charging handle and everything and pull it all right out of the back there. So once you've got your bolt out of there, you're going to have to be very careful with this thing, because the charging handle there is holding the back part of the bolt and everything in alignment. If this comes off of there, these springs are going to come flying out of there, and it's going to be a pain. Now, I'm not going to go into any more detail about disassembly, but this is going to be probably the most routine thing you're going to do, is take this apart and scrub it all up. Make sure that doesn't come unhooked from there. And what you can do is put you a zip tie or a tie wrap or something around there to hold that from coming apart, because if that comes apart, like I said, these springs and pins are going to go flying. The way this works is when you pull that charging handle back, what it'll do is it sets the firing pin on the S.C.A.R. Now, the one thing you don't want to do is, this is how it releases it. The trigger actually pushes that and lets the firing pin go. If you've got it in some kind of situation where you've done that, do not release the firing pin, because more than likely it will break your firing pin. So I've already got it set and everything. The easiest way to do this is to go ahead and set it up like that, push it all the way down again, then release it, and then you can let it go up, and that'll release your firing pin. Your firing pin is right down here, and when it's set, it's going to be back inside there a little bit. You want to clean that up a little bit, make sure there's no gunk and everything in there. Like I said, this one was pretty dirty and nasty when I took it apart to clean it, but I've got it all scrubbed up now and got it all well lubricated, so it should function just fine. Now that I've got the firing pin released without damage to it, I'm going to go ahead and put it back in. All you got to do to put it back in is just turn your bolt the right way. Your charging handle will be on the right. Get it slid in there. Make sure it is upright. Once it starts going in, this is going to be kicked a little bit to the side, so it'll wiggle a little bit. Get it pushed in there. You're going to have to push your pin back in, get it lined up, and it should pop that pin right back through there, and it's ready to go again. Now, my snap cap came out, so I don't have to worry about, there's no tension on the firing pin right now. So we're going to get this thing out on the range. I did take the scope off and do a little adjusting on it and everything, clean it all up, put it back together. So I have to do a little sighting in, probably do it at 50 yards. And since it is a Winchester, we'll go ahead and take a box of Winchester ammo out there. This is Winchester Super X 22 long rifle, 40 grain, 1300 feet per second. All right, now I've already taken a few practice shots with this thing, had to do some tweaking on the scope. We're gonna put 5 rounds in it, and all you gotta do is at the back, take this your tube there, turn it 90 degrees, pull it back. You don't have to pull it all the way out. You just need to pull it back far enough where the follower will clear this hole right here. So we'll pull that back almost all the way out, and then drop our rounds down in there, and you'll hear them slide down in the tube all the way to the end. And if they don't, just tip it up a little bit more. Alright, and then push your follower, your tube back in, turn it 90 degrees, a little bayonet lug on there will catch it, and then we'll take a few shots with it. Charge it up, just pull your handle back, and let it go forward, and they'll load in there. We're going to take a couple shots at the lower right hand target and see how it does anyways. It functions just fine. I had to do a little tweaking on the scope to get it where it needed to be. We'll get the ears in because even though it's a 22, it's still a little loud. Now these really old single power four power scopes really do not have the best optics on them, but it doesn't magnify that much, so that's why we're only doing the 50 yards. We'll see how it does. And we're all clear. We'll go ahead and walk down there and take a look at those and see how it did. Like I said, I had to do a little tweaking on the scope base to get it. It was not even close. All right, there's my little 5-shot group. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Not that good. I was aiming right there, and they're kind of all over the place. Could be me, but I do have it in a stand, and I'm not the biggest fan of that scope mount on there, but that's what you got when you got an older rifle like that. You get what it came with, because I don't know of anybody that makes any reproduction, any better scope mounts for something like that. But we'll put a fresh target up there. We'll just go for this one right up here and see how it does. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, one flyer. The other 4 aren't too terribly bad, but it's a 1950, so it's 50, 70 years old. That thing's been around a while, and it still shoots pretty good. All right, I'm not blaming the accuracy of the rifle on anything. The scope rifle combination, like I said, that is just a thin metal, probably, I don't even think it's quite an 1/8 inch thick sheet metal piece that's bent around there and holds the scope on there. I actually had to bend it. It was so far off, I mean, you could look down the barrel and see that it was nowhere near pointed toward the end of it. So I've got it tweaked around there, and it doesn't do too bad. Let's go ahead and load this thing up with the full 14 rounds, and then we'll give it a try and see how it does for reliability. So far I haven't had any issues with reliability, but you just never know. All right, 14 rounds is what it says it holds, so let's give it a try. And the magazine tube did go all the way inside there, so that part looks pretty good. That was it, 14 rounds, flawless on a 72-year-old-ish rifle, and hopefully I got him somewhere close to the center on that target there. But it's a pretty cool old gun, and it is an easy one to disassemble. Like I said, all you do is push that pin in the back, and your bolt pulls right out of the back of it there. Easy to clean up, get all the gunk off of it, keep it cleaned up and everything, and it should work just fine. I'm sure it would last another 70+ years if it's taken care of. Not a bad old rifle. There's a lot of these that are, I go to Cabela's a lot, and I go into the gun library, and I see a lot of these old rifles like this, like Granddad's old rifle or maybe Dad's old rifle, and they still function. They just haven't been given love in a long time. This one got a little love today. It got cleaned up and everything. It got the scope tweaked a little bit to fit in there. The adjustments on this scope, there are no well-defined clicks on it. In fact, the windage on it, there are no clicks whatsoever. I did notice the elevation has a little bit of clicks to it, but you can't hardly feel them. You definitely can't hear them. Anyways, thanks for taking a look at Granddad's old rifle here, and thanks for watching Small Caliber Arms Review. Hit this button up here to check out some of my other videos. Hit this button over here to subscribe if you haven't already, and thanks for watching.